Me and my girlfriend got into a really serious argument the other night. Me and her are very similar in a lot of ways. We're both very into art and mental health. I don't know if there's anyone who I'd rather analyze a movie with than her. And every time I leave after hanging out with her, I can tell that my cheek muscles actually hurt from smiling. But the other night, none of that seemed to matter. We were just not on the same page. I would tell her how much she means to me, and she'd shrug off the comment. Then she'd ask me if I'm busy this next week, and I'd say I was really busy the next couple of weeks, and she'd sink back into her seat with a sigh. And you could tell that both of us are just sitting there, feeling soggy and stale at the same time. Both of us were uncomfortable and unhappy. And at that moment, even though we love each other, neither of us was feeling very loved. What was going on? My name's Damian Barton, and today, we're going to talk about the 5 love languages, and we'll go over a 3-step plan to make your partner feel more loved. Let's get into it. In Dr. Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages, he talks about his experience as a couples counselor and an interesting pattern that kept coming up. He figured out that couples very often misunderstand how to best make each other feel loved and taken care of. In the book, he gives this metaphor to understand how giving and receiving love works. He calls it the love tank. We all have this fuel tank that shows how loved we feel. When our tank is high, the world is beautiful, the birds are singing, and we feel loved, supported, and appreciated. And when the tank is low, the world is ugly, the birds are dead, and everything is going to shit. We feel unloved, unsupported, and misunderstood. So when we're in a relationship, we fill up each other's tank. I might say, "Oh, you look so beautiful in that dress," or I might make dinner or buy her flowers, all of which might raise their level of feeling loved. But here's where things can get a little tricky. We don't all have the same fuel requirements. You can't put gasoline into a diesel car. For one person, getting flowers will raise the level in their love tank super high, while for another, it might not raise their level at all. Dr. Chapman divides these types of fuel or ways of loving someone into 5 different categories. If you want to raise the love tank level of someone who likes words of affirmation, you should focus on using words that show support, consideration, and affection. They'll really enjoy being complimented or receiving a cute text message or being told the words, "I love you." They show love through their words. Be mindful not to tell them harsh or insulting things, because those insults will cut deeper than expected. If you want to raise the love tank level of someone who likes quality time, you should focus on spending time with them and giving them your undivided attention. This might mean carving out a time during the day to spend with your partner, putting your cell phone away, and actively listening to what they have to say. Be mindful not to postpone dates or get distracted while you're with them, because it might make them feel disappointed and like you don't want to be around them. If you want to raise the love tank level of someone who likes physical touch, you should focus on things like hand-holding, cuddling, kissing, and other types of reaffirming physical contact. This doesn't necessarily mean that people are super into public displays of affection. It just means that reaffirming touch makes them feel loved. Be mindful to tell them if there's a reason you don't like being physically affectionate at the moment. Otherwise, they might feel like you aren't physically attracted to them or feel love towards them. If you want to raise the love tank level of someone who likes acts of service, you should lend a helping hand. This might mean helping them with chores around the house or cooking dinner for them. These people really believe that actions speak louder than words. Be mindful not to break promises or show a lot of laziness around them, because it might make them feel like you don't love and support them enough to contribute to the workload. If you want to raise the love tank level of someone who likes receiving gifts, you should get them things that reminded you of them. Be mindful not to call them materialistic, because it's not about the price tag of the item. It doesn't mean you have to buy them that designer bag they've been eyeing. It means that when you're walking down the grocery store aisle and see some flowers, you get them because it reminded you of them. They want to know how well you know them, and what they like. It's time for the
takeaway tip.
So before we can do anything, you first need to find out what love language you have and what love language your partner has. I'm going to link a quiz that you can find in the description below. That's the official love language quiz. It's free, it's really easy to do, and it'll tell you your primary love language and your secondary love language. After you know what each other's primary love language is, sit down with your partner and make a list of 3 things you could do to support your partner's love language. Remember, we understand love through our own love language. So if words of affirmation are really important to me, I'll naturally end up showing affection by telling my partner how much I love her and how much I appreciate her. But unless words of affirmation are important to her, it's not going to mean much. My love won't be communicated because she doesn't speak that language. If her primary love language is quality time, I need to be cautious about carving out personal time for just me and her to be together. Instead of speaking our own love language to our partner, we need to learn how to speak in a language that our partner will understand. Speaking your partner's love language just takes a tiny bit of effort and intention. Remember, healthy relationships aren't born, they're developed. You can leave a relationship because the grass is always greener on the other side. Or you can take the time to water your patch of grass and really see that relationship flourish. So remember, we each have a love tank, which tells us how loved we feel at the moment. Not every type of fuel fills our love tank at the same levels. There's 5 categories of fuel, or ways of feeling loved. Those are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. And if you want to implement this newfound understanding of your loved one, go take the quiz, then sit down with another and talk about how you could put this information into action. Don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button to be notified every time a new episode is released. If you want to take part in the Barton Blueprint for Emotional Intelligence's mission to destigmatize mental health, the most helpful thing you can do is share this episode with your friends and family. The more people who share, the faster this information is going to get out into the world to the people who really need it. Also, if you like this show and want more information, go ahead and follow us on all of our social media. There's a bunch of extra content like infographics of some of the takeaway tips and key concepts, as well as some fantastic mental health quotes by many of the most notable names in the field of psychology. The links are down in the description below. And if you want to know more about any of the research used in this episode, I always include the links in the description below. And as always, thank you for taking care of each other and taking care of yourself. I'll see you next week.